All right, so here we are. This is the first episode that we're trying. This is a new idea. This is called the Existential Lounge. It's our podcast. I'm Andres,
My name is Brandon.
and we kind of just don't even know what we're doing. We're kind of figuring it all out. Recent college graduates,
Yeah.
kind of finding way through life, and we thought this would be an awesome way to voice what we're thinking, maybe get some feedback from you guys, and if anything we say can help someone out there in the same position, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So we're both just super passionate about self betterment and philosophical inquiry, just understanding who we are, where we're going, what is anything, and how to just be better day by day.
Yeah, what makes us better? What factors do we find important in other people, and see how can we make that better in us?
Definitely. So something that we've been doing lately that we found to be extremely beneficial is this concept, this project we've been working on that we coined Project Renaissance Man, that we have found extremely fulfilling and beneficial to our day-to-day life. Want to talk about like some of what we've been doing?
Yeah, so essentially we're looking at the period that created the most advancement in society and the way that we see it today. The Renaissance exploded sciences, the arts, the understanding of just reality, and that was pioneered by the individuals that put in the most effort to make themselves the best versions that they can. We're talking about the Machiavellis, the Michelangelos, the Leonardo da Vinci's. So we're thinking that man that created that scenario back then, he needs to exist now to continue forwarding society. So what can we do to make ourselves that version of that today? And that's what the modern Renaissance man is, and that's why we're here in the project Modern Renaissance Man.
That was well put. So a big reason why we've been motivated to take that on, or at least what does it comprise of? It has elements of sharpening your mind, right? So we've been reading consistently every single day. We've been meditating. We've been working out, moving our body. And we find these to be core elements that are absolutely essential for
Right.
self betterment. And if you want to lead a happy, fulfilling life at your greatest potential, or at least getting as close as you can to that.
The best you, I think, is the
Yes,
most important part to
definitely.
think about here, is that when we say the happiest or the best, we're not talking about some general concept of happy or best, but what's happy and best for you.
Yeah.
So all these things, all these different pillars that we're talking about, intellect, introspection, physical fitness, um, just expansive knowledge, those pillars are inside of you specifically, and you need to find your highest point of that. And the framework that we've made with Project Modern Renaissance Man helps individuals max out essentially those levels.
Yeah, I think it's a very straightforward way to, if you are feeling unfulfilled in life, if you're feeling in some way lost, or feeling like you're not getting the most out of what you wish life could be, we both believe that Modern Renaissance Man is a great way to get closer to that. And yeah, just
Yeah.
essentially
And
feeling better consistently.
something that's also extremely helpful with this is that, like we said, we don't know what we're doing, and we're talking about
Yeah.
career wise here. But when you're in that rut that you don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life, there's still these aspects that you can continue to work on, that no matter what you do end up doing, when you do figure it out inevitably, these things will help you with that, whatever that is. So
Exactly.
this helps you keep feeling like you're doing something,
Yeah.
instead of just feeling like I don't know what I want to do, I'm lost, and nothing. My days are just wasting away. This fills that void.
Yeah.
It lets you know that you're making yourself the best you that will be able to tackle whatever that is the best way possible.
Yeah.
So I think something that we can start talking about now is, what are the elements of this thing? Because we've
Yeah.
just kind of been saying what it is, but not really talking about what we're doing. So I'm just going to pull up our specific one here.
Yeah.
We try to wake up early every day. I mean, we're both working, obviously, so 6 a.m. on the weekdays is the benchmark that we try for. You're waking up at 6 a.m., and we get in stretch before we move. Just want to keep our body as healthy as possible. No phone for an hour after waking up. We try to do that same process on the weekends, but at 8 o'clock, give us a little more leeway. We're human. We're not going to be robots sitting here telling you wake up at 3 a.m. and get in the gym.
Yeah.
That's just unrealistic. Another one is electronics, extremely helpful. Technology is awesome. We are hurting ourselves in society today by how much we're on these things. We are addicted.
100%.
Looking at your screen time, pull out your phone and look at it. It's insane. I promise you, it's crazy. It's kind of puts you into like perspective, like, what am I doing? So we also shut off electronics 1 hour before bed. No electronics. And it also honestly helps you sleep better.
Yeah. So it's become more common knowledge as of late, but the blue light emitted from the phone, it basically has a way of mimicking daylight, and the brain doesn't release melatonin in order to help you get sleepy. It's under the assumption it's still daylight outside, so hard to get tired.
Right. Another one is meditation. Introspective searching is one of the most valuable tools I've learned.
Absolutely.
Getting to know who you are makes it so much easier to tackle whatever's out here.
Yeah.
Getting to know the you makes you a better you, and you're ready for anything.
Yeah, and the quality of anything that we could ever do in life is entirely predicated upon the quality of awareness that we have when engaged in it.
Yeah.
And you can't go anywhere without awareness. And how much something interests you or makes you laugh or what you gain out of anything, it's going to be predicated upon the quality of your awareness. And so if we're consistently refining that through meditation, which is arguably one of the best ways to do that.
It is.
It just helps you.
I think beyond arguably, it just is the best way to do that.
That makes sense.
I constantly, it's gotten better since I started this, but I think a big issue that I had, and I think a lot of people can relate to, is that we do things without noticing we're doing things.
Yeah.
Our brain just likes to float off and start doing things. And meditating helps you identify those things. See, are they helpful for you? Is this going to net a positive in my life? And if it doesn't, you cut it out. When you don't have that constant introspective looking, you don't realize you're doing these things.
Correct.
And years go by, and if you really add it up, how long have you wasted doing things that do not help you?
I think on that note, something that I think everyone is going to relate to is this space in between activities, impulsive, pull out my phone. I'm waiting in line, pull out my phone. I'm going to go to the bathroom, pull out my phone. I'm in traffic, red light, pull out my phone. I think that almost 100% of the time when you go to do that, you weren't even aware that you were doing that. You didn't have a thought, I want to pull out my phone right now. You impulsively went to grab it. And something that's incredible is that meditation is going to help you become aware of when that impulse immediately happens. You tap into that. You recognize, wait, I want to pull out my phone. And then you're faced with that choice, that fork in the road of, do I pull out my phone without any actual reason? I didn't have a reason to do that. Or should I sit here maybe and take in this present moment and reflect on adding more autonomy into my life?
Yes, autonomy. That's the big one. It's that we are not controlling us when we let this happen.
Yeah.
These impulses, what's the word here? This thing that's just ingrained in us, this evolutionary thing to just like go, keep going, keep going, keep doing these random actions instead of stepping back, analyzing why. Why am I doing this? I remember when we first started this, just a quick anecdote is I completely removed Instagram from my my home screen. I didn't delete it, but I removed it from my home screen. And constantly when I would find myself in situations where I had nothing to do, my hand would just go to where Instagram used to be on my lock screen. I would laugh at myself every time. Like, you just blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, whoa, it's not there anymore. Why is it not? Oh, because I removed it. And it kind of just like, you see that. It's crazy just how the brain kind of takes over and goes into this autopilot mode.
Yeah, it's insight into how frequent we're having unconscious decisions in our daily life.
Right.
And scientifically, most of everything we do is an unconscious action. But if we could increase how much autonomy, the percentage that we have over what we're doing, we essentially have more say into where we want to go in life and what we're consuming, what we're doing, who we are is more in our favor, and we're more behind the steering wheel than if we were to just be a slave to these impulses, and they take us wherever we want or wherever they want, excuse me, and it can be extremely destructive and Yeah, a lot of time just goes out the window.
Time, that's the big one that I was about to touch on, is
Yeah,
when you really look at it, our amount of time as these conscious beings, super limited.
of course.
So if you kind of try to look at it from a third person point of view, like you're not you, you're just looking at your experience as a conscious being. How much of it do you want to be wasted on these impulsive movements as opposed to calculated, what will make me better movements?
Yeah,
And I think if you ask me, and if you ask most people, they're going to say, I'd rather do the things that I know will benefit me.
exactly.
Right. Now, meditating is not an easy thing.
No.
I know personally, it gets really hard for me. The mind just likes to float away. Uh, I don't know if we're allowed to mention it, but something that helps us is that Sam Harris app.
Oh
Um,
yeah, an app that I personally use is Waking Up.
yeah.
I find it incredibly useful. I think for a beginner, guided meditation is the way to go, because if
Mhm.
you're doing solo meditation, let me just follow the breath or whatever it may be,
You don't realize when you're floating away.
you don't realize that, like, I have been distracted for over a minute and forgot I was supposed to be meditating, and I'm thinking about
Yeah.
something that happened at work or a conversation I need to have with somebody, or I'm imagining some like movie in my head, and it just plays, and we don't realize we're distracted. So I think one of the best approaches, if you're a beginner and even if you're like a novice, you've been doing this for a while, I think something that's so useful is having some sort of guide that, like, brings you back after a few. They'll check in and be like, hey, in case you've been distracted, come back into
Right.
it and just begin again, essentially. And I've just found that to be so useful, and I think it's a really good way of even looking at life. I think a lot of ways we can
Hmm.
stumble or find ourselves in situations that we don't want to be in or wish we could change, and we're filled with regret, but we adopt that same philosophy of as just begin again, and you just pick up to where you'd want to be and keep going.
Right. Yeah. Um, so that's one of the things we do. We're doing meditation. I think a fair way is we'll link that app in the description, just so
Yeah,
anybody who wants to get started on that can. Another one we're doing is reading. So reading for us is just the easiest way to gain knowledge. I mean,
yeah,
so many people in so many different fields have published so many different books, and we like to look at everything like we're novices in everything. So if
yeah.
anybody that's an expert in a field that we think is better for us to know, let's go out there and get it. We just finished
Psychology
Psychology
of
of
Money.
Money
Yeah,
because we have no idea how really money works. It's kind of not a thing that's taught to us, and I think
yeah,
everybody in our age group can kind of relate to that. That
100%.
you're kind of hit with like a truck after you graduate, and you're like, "What is retiring?"
Yeah, how many of you have taken one or multiple courses on financial literacy in your
Exactly.
academic, endeavors? I I think I've taken a business course, and that was just about finance, like, once.
I don't think I've taken a single one,
Yeah,
and it's honestly terrifying that one of the most important things we can learn is just not taught to us.
correct.
So what we can do, go out there. The sources are out there. The wells of knowledge for these things are out there, and they're usually in the form of books. So knock it out. Like
Yeah.
just go out there and get them. Now we're reading Essentialism, which helps us focus our efforts, focus what we need to do, narrows down just this super broad idea of what we're doing.
I think a big reason why we wanted to read this book is because I think we all know that the path of self betterment is infinite. It's so vast. There's a million ways you can approach it, and if you can simplify it as much as possible and break it down into very important, very valuable, and approachable things that you can implement realistically for an extended period of time, that's
Yes,
the most optimal way to do it.
it is.
You
Just
you you can exhaust yourself into so many different approaches and how much to add to this
mhm.
if you really take some time to step back and think, like, how much of this is actually helping me right now. Be aware of that and recognize what isn't working for you, what is, and
Right.
constantly refine your approach to self betterment. Because sometimes you may be doing a ton of things that are getting you nowhere but
Right.
just
Yeah.
exhausting you.
I think that's a big one. Realizing what works for you. Um, I've had a lot of advice given that sounds good and it worked for people because it's coming from someone who's successful, right? But it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
I try it and it's like it's not working. So just having, and I think kind of backtracking a little bit, meditation really helps you identify what advice works for you and what doesn't.
absolutely.
Um, but that's another one. We read every single day. There's not, I have written here 10 pages, but we go more, we go less. Sometimes it's a chapter. Just read every day. It just, yeah.
I think also reflect on, read things that you find enjoyable too. Don't just try to turn this into a chore where you have to read
Yes.
for the sake of reading. Pick something up that grabs your attention, that you find interesting, that you want to add into your life or expand your knowledge on,
Hmm.
and be intentional with that. Try not to look at it as a chore, but look at it as, I want to just open my mind and pour new ideas and thoughts into it that either just spark pleasure and enjoyment, or help you to just lead a better life. I think that's just super important, because
Yeah.
I have bought tons of books that I've just picked up before, looked through, and then I'm like, I'm just really not enjoying this, but I feel some random pressure to push through anyways, and it can feel miserable.
Hmm.
Pick things that you find to be enjoyable, and that you feel that have
Yeah.
some utility.
And something we're using right now, Chris Williamson has a list of books that
Oh,
we
amazing!
love
Yes,
to look through these lists, and that's where we're really picking our stuff from.
yeah,
Uh, it kind of just reminds me of this quote that was on our philosophy building back in school. The first part about knowledge is where to find knowledge.
exactly.
So sometimes there's millions of books, and sometimes it can feel like I don't know where to look. This is a good place. We'll link it as well.
Absolutely.
Um, Next one is working out, intentional movement every day. As I read that, I think the everyday is a bit. Um, I feel like you can. That sounds good, but it's easy to burn yourself out that way. We work
Absolutely.
out regularly. We try to work out regularly at least, but intentional movement. I think
Yes.
separating the two, thinking of, we're not saying go spend an hour, 2 hours at the gym every single day moving weight, a walk, a
Yeah.
run, go to the park, a million different things. Just get your body moving, because at the end of the day, everything that we've spoken about prior to this, what does it matter how much things you've learned, how much books you've read, how much art you can create, how much value you give to the world if you're not in the world to give it?
Yeah.
If your body doesn't work, all of the other stuff is pointless. This is the vessel that we have. This is the one thing we have that to move us around. Let's take care of it. Let's try to just, like you take care of your car because it takes you to work. Take care of your body. It moves you through life.
Exactly. It's we get one body, and you know, treating yourself well will determine the quality of your whole future.
Yes.
And there is no money amount you can put on the value of health. And
Mm-hmm.
it's incredibly valuable, and everything that we do it's going to affect the quality of it. Your mind is predicated upon the health of your body in many ways.
Everything is so connected, which is crazy when you really start
Yeah,
looking at it. Um, Being physically unhealthy can lead to mental unhealthiness. Mental unhealthiness can vice versa lead to physical unhealthiness. Just trying to your best to have this machine running at its most optimal level, you're going to live a better life. Just that's across the board. I feel it's. I pause to use the word objective, but that feels like an objective truth. That the better your machine is running, the better you will be.
yeah. I think it is an objective truth that um, we are inherently constructed in a way where exertion of the muscles and the
Mm-hmm.
cardiovascular system is it leads to release of dopamine, like feel good chemicals,
Yeah,
as well as they have incredible benefits to our longevity. And
yeah,
there's no arguing that.
and they also have um, societal pluses. You feel more comfortable about yourself. You're more comfortable in conversation. You're more comfortable to walk into a room and talk to whoever you need to
Oh
talk
yeah,
to. You're more likely to get a job because you're more likely to go out there and just talk to someone with your chest up, your head high. Whereas when you're not confident in how you look, it's harder to go into these rooms and be that guy that demands the attention.
absolutely.
So, just all encompassing. It's just super important staying healthy. Um, We've touched on stretching, but that kind of goes into the same thing. If you're out there moving weight so often, your joints start giving out. They just do. Um,
I
I
just
mean,
cracked my ankles. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but definitely, if you're lifting weights, and I've been lifting weights since I was 15 years old, and I'm 26 now, and I didn't stretch a lot. And for the past 5 years, I implemented that more than ever because I started to feel the changes in
yeah,
not regularly stretching, working on mobility. You're going to feel it. I promise you are going to feel it if you are not stretching regularly. And I think having a limber body where you could just move freely and not feel stiffness and limitations,
uh huh.
incredible.
Yeah, and longevity is just there.
Yeah.
The first example that comes to mind is Tom Brady. This guy's his whole workout is focused on yoga, elasticity, just keeping his body as nimble as possible,
Yeah.
and he played at a high level until his 40s.
100%. Yeah,
Like,
it's reflective of that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And the last thing we have on here is journaling. Meditating is awesome, but sometimes those realizations you come to, they stick for a little bit and then they're gone. If you have a place where you write down every realization you come to, every thought you have throughout the day that you find of note, keep it on there, it just stays with you. And you can
Yeah.
always go back and look at it. What was I doing that day? What was I doing this day? What did I learn? What can I implement going forward? All of these different ideas. And that's just how I've been using journaling. It's super helpful to keep a track of ideas that sometimes came, but then were just gone.
I think a great tip that I have is for people that are new to journaling is, I mean, I've been there, you've been there. Sometimes we just sit down and we have no idea what to write.
Yes.
Honestly, sometimes don't think, just put the pen to the
Yeah.
paper, just start writing, scribble if you have to, until words come to mind. And even if they don't have any meaning, if it sounds like gibberish at first, if you're writing random words, keep writing random words until something starts making
Right.
sense, and it will. And when you reflect on what you wrote, it will have profound insight into your present mental state, into maybe your passions, into what's bothering you, into
Mm-hmm.
what do you need to change in life right now. And you do that regularly, and it gets easier to sit down and to write and to make sense. And
Exactly.
it is a portal into your current mental state. And
Yes.
meditation is a great medium for that. But I think journaling is an equally as amazing and efficient medium for that as well.
What you were just touching on there, when you don't know what to write and you just start writing, and eventually you didn't realize, but you have a page.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the one that doesn't know what they want to write is the conscious mind. But once you just keep writing,
Yeah.
that subconscious mind starts like kicking in, and it tells you the stuff that you don't want to really listen to, but
Yeah.
it's there, and it's just better to have that out there. Know what your subconscious is doing, because otherwise, it piles, and it eventually boils over.
I think what's so important, I think journaling has become increasingly more important in a world where we become less autonomous over our
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and actions. You know, if you're not journaling and meditating regularly right now, how frequently are you sitting with your own mind, unaltered and uninfluenced by these super interfering elements that are grabbing your attention and keeping it and holding it?
I mean, they have like scientists literally working on it, the best ways that a commercial can keep you looking at it,
Yeah.
a way that an advertisement can make you not press the skip button.
Yes.
These things aren't done by accident. They are
No.
done in a way that keeps your attention as away from you as possible and on X product. So the only way to combat that is to, in your personal life, continue to work on these things that help you keep control, to stop gifting away your autonomy to all these different influences that are just so regular: a billboard, a commercial, two ads before every YouTube video. They even have like pop-ups now of ads on YouTube. Have you seen them where they like pop up on the side and it's a link to something?
Mm.
Yeah, like it's crazy just the amount of different things that are constantly just flying in front of our face.
That was the last one written, right? That we
Yes,
have.
that's journaling.
So, in a nutshell, I think that we want to increase our awareness into how we're operating, right?
Mhm.
We embarked on this because we were both in very feeling aimless with what we wanted. We're working these jobs, not necessarily feeling entirely
Satisfied,
satisfied, like life
fulfilled.
has this fulfilling meaning, that we're moving to some desirable like peak, this mountaintop that like is like that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to cultivate the raw essentials into
Mhm.
what goes into a high performing healthy individual.
Yes.
And if we just keep refining and refining these elements, we'll get there.
Essentially, I guess just a metaphor that popped in my head is we're trying to build a car. But what we're doing right now is we're putting together the engine parts, we're putting together the transmission, we're putting together the battery, the radiator, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, that car's out there, and we know we're going to get to that car eventually. But right now, we're refining the parts that will make that car work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're just super passionate about that. We want to be better people, not only just for ourselves, but for the world.
Yes.
We both strongly feel this responsibility to be this helpful, this beacon of just like goodness for other people, to just strive to lead better lives and to just get the most out of this as we possibly
Yes.
can. We live once, like
Once and for like a blink,
yeah,
it's
it's
gone
fast.
so quick.
Yeah. And I think what's also important, like reflect on how long we live as humans. It is a blink, it's a flash. And to roll back on the importance of meditation is, the more refined your awareness is, the sharper that is, the more detail you absorb from life, from reality, and the more that you experience, the more that you're aware
Right.
of, the more that you have to remember and to feel. And life's colors and its sounds and its senses become richer, and
Yeah.
you become more just in a position to make better decisions, and you're here, you're present. And I think that that's something that we just need to constantly fuel in our lives, is learning how to be more present.
Yeah. I feel like we're constantly, and partly to, not partly, I'd say largely to do to how we were just talking about the immense amount of advertisement that's around us. We're essentially dopamine deprived, and we
Yeah.
become addicted to it. So all these little things constantly just give you this quick rush, quick rush, quick rush, but that goes away really fast. I forget what book we learned this in, but the idea of delayed gratification
Mm.
and understanding that I'm going to give up this small spike in dopamine right here because down the line it's going to be better.
Yeah.
If I put that aside and focus on these things that we just went over, this will be better down here. This might give me, to put a random number on it, a 2 out of 10 here, but I'm holding out for that 10 out of 10.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, and it's those compounded 10 out of 10s that really give our lives meaning.
Yes.
It's what we look back and we look at what we cultivated, and it's like, this is what life's worth living for, you know?
Yeah. It really is. That's the gist of all this. That's what we're trying to do here, is
Yeah.
get to a point where we're content with existing.
Yeah.
Hence Existential Lounge. This is where we sit. This is the lounge where we sit and we talk about existing.
Yeah. How to just make that better. How to, you want to be in a body. We have one mind, and this thing goes off like crazy and it never stops. There was no evolutionary adaptation to silence our thoughts. This never stops. And I want to be at peace with my mind. I want to be at
Yeah.
peace with my body. I want to be at better peace with what's going on in the world. And when things inevitably will go wrong, they will. There are
Yeah,
horrible
always.
things just waiting in the future, right around the corner. I want to cultivate a mind and body that is more capable,
More apt to dealing with that.
exactly, so that when we're hit with those waves, that like the ship is just maintaining its balance.
Right.
And
Yeah. Right now we're just building that thing,
exactly.
that pillar that keeps the waves at bay.
Yeah.
I don't want to find myself in where my pillar is going to fall over. Right now, we're doing everything that we can to make this pillar as strong as it can, because there's not going to be a damn wave that breaks it.
Correct. I think something that, would be valuable for us to touch on as well, like, in this first episode, in accordance with modern Renaissance man, is the importance of Stoicism.
Yes.
And it's this philosophical concept of aligning aligning your thoughts in accordance with logic, so that you are reducing unnecessary suffering.
Um, in a nutshell, I think the easiest way to explain Stoicism is that everything out here, everything auxiliary to you, is completely out of your control. You have control about how you react to the auxiliary things. Realizing that is one of the most important realizations that I think every person can come to.
Yeah.
This guy cut me off in traffic. I didn't control him cutting me off in traffic. But the moment that I react negatively to him cutting me off, I have now gifted my autonomy to him. I
Correct.
There's no winning that game anymore because you got me to play your game now.
I think on that note, there's also something important to reflect on, which is we get mad because we assume the world should be acting in accordance with what we want.
Yes.
It won't.
It
It
just
really,
doesn't.
it doesn't care. The universe is indifferent to whatever it is that you may want ever. And you get mad because you expect it to act in accordance with this. But if you reflect on, wait a minute, I'm in this world with a trillion billion moving parts that which I have no autonomy over, I can't control.
Exactly.
You got to learn to be okay with it. If you can't do anything about what him cutting you off, the best thing you could do is be at peace with it. Be like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done anything about it. I couldn't have foreseen that you were about to do that. And hey, maybe you're in a massive rush. Maybe you have a totally
Yes,
justifiable.
that's what I was
Yeah.
about to say, is that while the optimal stoic is just I am not bothered because I didn't control that action, that can seem kind of hard to do sometimes. Just having that absolute stoic mentality is kind of hard. So sometimes playing these like kind of silly little games with yourself to help you rationalize that is to just describe something. That guy was in a hurry to get home because X, Y, or Z. He needs to go pick up his kid from school because his kid's sick. He needs to get home because he's going to his second job. Any like random thing that you think is justifies him cutting you off, ascribe it to him. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, but the fact that it could be true
Yeah.
helps you come to terms with the fact that it happened.
I think something also is we're so quick to point a finger at people that act in undesirable ways to us, but another element of stoicism is taking a moment to reflect, like, have I also at some point in my life
Yes.
acted in this way? Am I also a victim of cutting people off or acting in such a way that may be seen as undesirable? And chances are you're probably going to come up with I've done this before.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've bumped into the person.
I
Or
am likely completely butchering the quote here, but Marcus Aurelius in Meditation says, whenever you're about to be mad at someone for something, ask yourself, what action have I committed that closely resembles the thing I'm about to be mad at?
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. And when you do that, it helps you to just be less mad at people as frequently as we do.
Yes.
And I think it's super easy to fall into this state of like being upset with people or frustrated, and think of how often every day, how often do we spend with emotions of that nature. This helps to turn the dial down so much more on that. And you're in accordance with reason. This makes sense. It's a state where you're just reflecting on
Yeah.
what is true, and letting go of what should be, or no, what you think the universe has to mold itself to what we need.
And these instances, like again, we're using the guy cutting you off in traffic, but they happen a million times. Someone in line at the grocery store can be talking really loud or whatever, any small inconveniences. When you allow those to negatively affect your state of being and you compound them based on how many times they happen every day, every week, every month, look at that effect that has on your state of being in general. Um, we it's just easier to find yourself in these mental ruts when you allow every single little thing to affect you this much and then they all add up together, as opposed to just letting it slide off. If it didn't hurt me, why am I mad? There's no point in wasting energy to be mad about something that slowed me down 2 seconds in traffic.
Yeah. And also, not only just 2 seconds in traffic, but when things of that nature have happened, how long do you actually hold on to it? I guarantee within 20 minutes you forgot it even happened.
Yeah.
And I think a common misconception about stoicism is that it's all about not feeling emotion. It's about, I can't let myself get angry. I can't let myself be upset or jealous or any of these negative emotions, that they have to be, fought off. But it's not about not feeling negative emotion. It's about embrace that emotion actually, but
Understand.
not only just understand, but recognize when you're being consumed by it, and
Mhm.
recognize when it's coming from a place of being irrational, and when it
Right.
may not be conducive to feel that, because it is very, very important to feel emotion. It's healthy, and it helps
It's
us to understand our relationship with ourselves and reality.
yeah. Just realizing, when is this helpful for me? Um, yes, this emotion is coming up. Most of our emotions are completely impulsive and they just kind of come. We don't really control them when they come.
Yeah.
But being able to, slow down, pump the brakes, let's rationalize why I'm feeling this. Should I be feeling this? And that might sound like a big process to do when someone just cut you off, but honestly, after so much practice, it becomes automatic. It
Correct.
becomes automatic to just, that doesn't matter. Why, I shouldn't be feeling any type of way about this, and you kind of move on. It wasn't that, I don't feel mad, I'm super stoic, man. It's, you've rationalized that there was no reason for that. That feeling that right now causes a net negative in me. I want net positive, so I will not do that.
Yeah. I think that, stoicism is something that takes time to
Yes.
implement into your life. It's something that is a habit, it's a way of being, it's something that, it takes time to fortify, to construct and implement these frameworks of logic
Yeah.
that happen automatically. That's the goal. The goal is to, you've practiced stoicism, the ideals of stoicism so much so that you don't need to actively think when to apply them,
They're
and
just
you,
there.
yeah, and you realize, wow, like all these people around me are getting so frustrated so quickly, and I'm recognizing I'm so much more relaxed, and you realize the realities that other people are actually living in, that, you know of so much more stress and anger, and like you think sometimes like that made you angry. Wow, like it's,
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not in a mind right now that I can
Something
be.
like that would make me angry. Yeah.
Exactly. And you blink and you realize that so much more of your life is filled with desirable emotion and experience. And it's what that touches on one of his quotes, how um, the quality of life is dependent upon our thoughts.
Yeah.
And if you have more autonomy over that, and you're actively working on those things, your quality of life becomes so much better in every way.
Yes. Yes. Um, and another idea I think that kind of piggybacks on that is our view on free will. So it's hard to be mad at people. It's hard to be upset at someone's action. It's hard to be mad at a situation when you kind of hold the sentiment that none of us have willfully chosen to do that. This guy didn't choose to cut me off in line. A million different things, a million different dominoes fell in his life that led him to cutting me off. He didn't have any power over that. And that's a conversation that takes a lot more to like pull apart and to rationalize. But yeah, just holding that idea that we're all kind of just existing in this thing of where none of us really have real free will. It's hard to be mad at someone when you're like, when you realize that.
Correct, absolutely. You just recognize that everyone's actions and how they justify what they justify is based off of their own experiences and limited knowledge. And we're all limited in a million different ways, limited with our own biology, limited with our own minds and knowledge. And that determines how and what we do within everything
Yeah.
that we do. What else should we touch on within the first opening video?
I think this is kind of just what we're doing now. This is the taste of what's to come. This is what this is about. This is what we're trying to do, is just come here, try to just chop up some different thoughts, ideas, and come to conclusions with everyone else, because like most other people in our age group, we're lost. As we've said multiple
Yeah,
times, we don't know what we're doing, and this is just another attempt at trying to know what to do.
absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, we just need to get our thoughts out. We need to get our thoughts and feelings
Yes.
out, and just in a constructive way that gives us a peace. This is like a therapy to both of us,
Yes.
and hopefully that some sort of dynamic, or you know indulging in stuff like this, content like this, that some of you have a passion for it as well. And hopefully people just gain some betterment out of it, because we're doing this for us, because this is helping our mental health. This is helping us, get our thoughts and feelings about who we are and what we are out on the table, just
Yeah.
more, clearly in a way that we can see. And hopefully that, we recognize that the things that we're doing personally, that they've had a lot of utility in our lives. And if we reflect on the fact that if it's giving our life utility, that it must also give other people
Right.
utility as well. And
That touches on your idea earlier of that burning thing that we have inside of us, that we want to offer whatever we can to everyone else.
yeah,
Whatever we have that we think is of use, we'd love to share. And this
absolutely.
is what we have here. This is what we think we're good at. Like, we are able, this is a medium where we can just scream out ideas, and if any of these ideas land with anyone, that's enough.
Absolutely. Something also we both felt important to make clear is that both of us are so ready at any given moment to change what we believe to be true. Neither of us ascribe to any idea with 100% certainty, immovably,
Yeah.
and we are always ready to change our ideas. And none of what we say, I guess everyone has to. It's going to work for everybody, or that it's true for
Embracing
everybody. Yeah,
challenge is just the best way to continue compounding knowledge.
absolutely.
There's no idea that is not allowed to be questioned or challenged. We invite that. It's the best form of conversation, at least for me. I don't want to speak for you, but I think as well,
Of
it's
course.
just the best thing that works for us.
Yeah.
I love sitting at a table and breaking down an idea till nothing is left.
Yeah, accept the truth,
Yeah,
or as close as we could get to it.
right.
Yeah, and that's literally just what we're about. So hope everyone enjoys this journey with us, and
Yeah. Hopefully you stick around. Hopefully more people come.
absolutely, we'll see how things go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.